Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. So today's video is very important for the simple fact that most of us are in the job market, or we might be young professionals or college students, and it is critical for us to understand how our job market will evolve in the next 5 years, because it is through job market that most of us make our money. And if we don't understand the key trends that are happening in the job market, we might really struggle for the years to come. So therefore, please watch this video till the very end. Take notes, it's a critical video. Alright, so let me start this video by showing you 3 specific pictures that will help you understand the macroeconomic story that is going around in the world. Now this is the first picture. Just zoom in and see what this picture represents. That from the blue line, you can see that the top 1% people in the world, their wealth has been going up. On the flip side, a mirror image is there, indicated by the green line, that the bottom 99% people of the world, their wealth has been coming down. So this is a clear aggregation of wealth that is happening. Now you might say, okay, this data is still only 2015. What happens to the story after that? The story gets even worse. Why do I say it? Let me prove it to you by giving you a sensible example here. So when 2020 COVID crisis came, you might have heard that people made almost 100% of money in the stock market. If you would have invested your money just before COVID, index was trading at 12,400. Then COVID came, index came down, but now it's back up at 18,000. So let's assume that you deposited your money just before COVID, and now if you've been in the market, your gains are massive. Why? Because of asset price inflation. And who invests in these type of stock market, cryptos, etc.? These are usually top 1, top 5% of the people in the world. It's not the poor people who are doing it. So what is this leading to? This is leading to increased income inequality. Now this is the second picture, which categorically outlines the secular decline in the job market. What it means is that if you see it as a percentage of population that has been employed in the formal job market, it is coming down year after year after year. First picture, rising income inequality. Second picture, overall as a percentage of population, the number of people in the job market are coming down in India. Now this is the third and the final picture. Now here you can categorically see that the India's digital and startup economy is on the boom. The number of unicorns that are growing in India, they are growing at a rapid, blistering pace. Now if you combine all these 3 things together, you will scratch your head. You will say that, okay, income inequality is rising. Rich is getting richer, poor people are getting poorer. Then you will say that, okay, number of jobs are also coming down as a percentage of population, but more and more companies are becoming unicorns. If you assimilate all 3 data points, what can you deduce out of this? This is a very important question. Try to think yourself, try to type out your response in the comment box. I too will give out the detailed response to this question, so check out the description box also. Now here is what is happening in the economy. That the type of new age startups or the type of new age businesses that are growing, they are being built on technology. Let's understand this from an example. For example, you might have heard of the story that when Instagram got acquired, it had a handful of engineers. You could literally go and count them out, and it was a $1 billion company, and Facebook paid insane amount of money to acquire the Instagram's team. And now Instagram is literally a monopoly. Similarly, if you take a look at any new age tech company, for example Canva, it will have a very small team for the amount of business it generates. Again, if you understand it from Facebook, Google, Alibaba's point of view also, again, in terms of the revenues that they generate, they are generating massive revenues, but the workforce that they employ, it's minuscule. And that literally represents why there is so much gap that is being created between rich and poor. Because rich people or people who are educated, they would understand how to leverage technology, so they can go and make investments. Similarly, they will work with tech companies, or they will work in finance. So these are all jobs that have something called as leverage. So leverage simply means that in the old times, during my grandfather's or father's time, people simply used to go and exchange their time for money. For example, my dad used to go to an office, he used to sit there for 8 hours, come back home, and at the end of the month, he used to get a paycheck. That was a simple business model for majority of the companies that were running in India. Now the times are changing, and now you have companies like Zomato, Ola. So here these are tech plays, and they can generate a lot of business by using a very small workforce. Now this is the key point that you must understand, that the businesses now have fundamentally changed. They leverage tech, and therefore they don't need a huge workforce, and therefore the graphs and the charts that I showed you, they make sense. Now do check out Hirect. They have curated a list of jobs that you can take a look at.
They allow you to seamlessly reach out to founders and CEOs of startups to get the job.
So do check out the links in the description box. It's a shout out to our sponsors Hirect for this video. They are an excellent platform that curates a lot of jobs that you can take a look at, and they have a very seamless way of connecting job seekers with job providers. So you can literally use their platform to scout for all these jobs. Now, of course, once you understand the macro picture, your second question to me would be that, okay, can you talk about what are some lucrative jobs that I can identify so that I can start preparing for it? If I'm in college first year, second year, or if I'm a young professional, then probably if I'm targeting some high paying job in 5 years, help me understand the framework, how I can go and identify the jobs that are coming up in the market. So I have two simple suggestions for you here. First and foremost, ask yourself a very simple question about India, that what are 5 key startups that you know about that have become unicorns very recently or have been very talked about companies. So companies like Cred will come into the picture, companies like Byju's will come into the picture, companies like Coinbase will come into the picture, companies like Nykaa will come into the picture. There will be a simple list of 8-10 most talked about companies. That's it, simple, right? So identifying this list is super simple, and you can categorize them in terms of the industry in which they are. For example, Byju's is in education space and Coinbase is in crypto space. So understand the industry and the type of major players that are there in the industry. This is easy. This is super easy, but then comes the hard part. You must understand which functions within these businesses will pay you a good salary and where you can expect more growth. Now again, let me help you understand this through an example. So let's talk about Byju's. Okay, don't dislike the video from that angle. I'm just using it as an example. So let's talk about Byju's. Now, what is the most critical function for Byju's if you are an employee? It would be sales. Okay. Now, is that a function which will pay you a lot of money? The answer is no, right? So this is probably not something that you should prepare for. You can go to a lot of websites and figure out what the salary of Byju's sales employee would be, right? So probably not a function where you should try to specialize if you are targeting edtech companies. But if you change the equation, if you go and start doing this analysis for different companies. So let's say you do the analysis for Coinbase. Now Coinbase is looking for a lot of software engineers. Now here is the data for you. This is the amount of salary that they pay to software engineers at Coinbase, and the market rates are insanely high for software developers, especially in blockchain cryptocurrency space right now. Being a software engineer who understands finance, fintech, blockchain, all these new evolving technology, super high paying job, right? So you can probably curate your career according to that. Let me give you another example, because many of you might say that Akshat, you have given like a tech example. What about something else? Okay, so let's talk about Nykaa. Now, what is the most critical function of Nykaa if it has to run as a business? There will be multiple, but one of the examples could be product management at Nykaa, right? That there are a bunch of products that need to be sold in the market, so you need to figure out how to sell it. Again, the salary for a product manager at Nykaa might be high. Similarly, there is a lot of demand supply matching in the fashion industry, because the fashion industry trend changes. So you need to understand Nykaa from that perspective, and these become your high paying jobs. So what are two things that you need to do? Number one, identify upcoming startups in India. Very easy to scout that list. Second, look at the functional value within these startups and look for functional value within these startups and prepare and curate your career accordingly. Doing this simple analysis will help you curate a list of companies and the functions that you could target. Again, you can go to Hirect's app in the description box and look at more functions that exist within different startup space. Now, once you have this curated list of good companies and good functions, you need to start segregating them into traditional jobs versus non-traditional jobs. This is a super important categorization for you to figure out so that you can accordingly modulate your career. Now let me help you understand this point more. Now this is a chart that shows that consistently more foreign investments are coming to India. Now ask yourself a simple question, that how will this impact traditional jobs? Jobs that you know about, for example, management consulting, VC, private equity, investment banking, all these things, right? So money will definitely keep flowing to these type of prominent companies, right? This will not go away. These are traditional jobs. Second, how will this foreign money flow into startups, and which sectors of startups is this money flowing to? So let's discuss both these points. So when we talk about traditional jobs, these are jobs like private equity, VC, management consulting, investment banking. They have always paid high and they would continue to pay high because they are at the top of their game. When you are looking to work with BCG, Bain McKenzie, it's not as if that these companies will go away in the next 10 years. Similarly, if you're looking to work at JP Morgan Chase or Morgan Stanley, these companies will not go away. Similarly, if you want to work with Kalari Capital or if you want to work with Sequoia Capital, these companies are not going to go away. Similarly, Google will not go away. These are traditional jobs, and if you're looking to work with these companies, please understand the change that these companies are going through. Now, let me help you understand that by giving you a specific example about decentralized finance. All the major banks, all the major investment banks, for example, JP Morgan Chase, they are now experimenting with cryptocurrencies. They have little bit of exposure in their portfolio already. You must have heard the commentary of Jamie Dimon. Why is that? Because the centralized finance is the existing finance that exists. For example, when I send money to you, I have to involve a bank to do RTGS, IMPS, something. But on a blockchain or cryptocurrencies where I can create decentralized finance systems, these systems are already gaining prominence. We don't necessarily need a bank. Now, this does not mean that JP Morgan Chase or Morgan Stanley or HDFC Bank or SBI Bank will go away. No, absolutely not. They will still exist. But the bottom line is that some part of DeFi will be picked up and will be incorporated in the traditional banking system. If you understand that trend as a student, and if you understand that trend as a young professional, you can easily go out and make more money through your job in the banking structure. So become an expert on blockchain, read more about cryptocurrencies, understand more about the finance side of it, write some articles. So easy to do. Yes, requires a little bit of research, hard work, and bunch of different things, but you can definitely do it, and it can really bump up your career. So traditional jobs, if you consider management consulting, for example, now before COVID, there was so much traveling that used to happen. As a management consultant at McKinsey or BCG, you would go out on Monday, come back home on Thursday night. So you used to stay away from your family. Now with COVID, management consulting firms are moving towards a model where this is not required anymore. So you need to be fast in terms of analyzing data to prove value to your firm. You must get better in terms of doing secondary research, not primary research. You must cultivate the ability to speak with people on phone or Zoom calls and extract good data out of it. So all these research skills have become extremely important for you as a consultant because the consulting model has been disrupted completely. So bottom line, if you're trying to do traditional jobs, then figure out what specific change these companies are going through and learn more about that change. It would allow you to succeed beyond measures. Okay, so that is one. Second point, let's talk about non-traditional jobs. So non-traditional jobs are super easy to identify because you simply need to follow VC money, venture capital money. So there are a lot of companies, for example, Sequoia, Kalari, and bunch of different companies that keep on making big investments. Understand why they are making these investments and in which companies they are making investments. So these will always give you opportunities to go and directly apply for those jobs. I keep on talking about so many companies on my channel itself, and one of my subscribers, actually after watching one of my videos, he reached out to that company that I was talking about on my video and got a job with them. Someday I'm going to invite him for a chat. But bottom line is that it's super easy to figure out non-traditional jobs just by understanding the flow of money as to how VCs are making investments. Just pick up names, go to their website. You will get a very clean list of companies in which they have made investments and how much. Follow the lead, go and look for jobs in those type of industries and these new age startups. Now comes the final question that, okay, Akshat, great, job market is changing. I need to be more proactive if I have to stay in the game. What are some of the key things that you would advise me to do? Now I can make a separate video on this altogether, but just in the interest of time and to keep the video short, I will just leave you with a few key tips. Point number one, please build your portfolio. Super important these days if you're reaching out to any startup, if you're reaching out to even Google, and if you have your portfolio ready. For example, if you're a software developer and if you have done some UI UX design with some startups, that becomes your portfolio, that you have helped Akshat startup doing some UI UX designing, right? So that becomes a part of your portfolio. You take it up, you show it to your Google recruitment manager, they will be super impressed. So that is tip number one, that please build your portfolio, extremely critical. Second point, please have a life outside your work. That is, you need to engage in some kind of hobby, some kind of activity so as to come across as an interesting person. Honestly, this is getting more and more important with each passing day in a country like India because people have started talking about work-life balance, people have started talking about mental health, people have started talking about a lot of good trends. Now, people do not want to work with other people who are just workaholics, right? So it's important for you to have some kind of hobby, some kind of activity that you are involved in. That makes your conversations interesting when you are facing the interview. Third and finally, adopt the philosophy of cross-learning. I talk a lot about finance, economics, but trust me, my favorite subject is history. I love history. I read so many books, articles on history. I am absolutely fascinated by history. Why? Because it helps you understand the world better. Read about tech, read about English, read on how to improve English. Whatever knowledge you can consume, consume it. Because the world is curling up into a ball, right? Everything is getting mixed. So if you have developed these structures to learn different things, it can help you out immensely. So do these things, tell me the results, and think about the job market, where it's heading. And please press the like button on this video and go and check the Hirect app. It's a wonderful app and a very interesting way of finding jobs. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you the next time.